Hi, so we're going to be showing you how to make these really sweet little snowman decorations with free motion embroidery. So the first thing you're going to have to do is take off the foot and the ankle on your sewing machine and put on your free motion embroidery foot. Some machines will come with them, some you'd need to buy a free motion foot for. There we go, that's attached. And then you'll take a piece of white felt and using a heat erasable pen you're going to draw yourself an outline of a snowman. So it's basically just a bigger circle with a smaller circle on top, and I can normally find something at home to draw around. You'll need to make sure you've got enough clearance for your foot, however you need to in your machine. You can always check in your manual if you need more information. With mine I've got a dial here on the screen that I can use to just lift the pressure off the presser foot. You're going to turn off your feed dogs. Again, there's a button for my machine. Yours might be at the bottom underneath your machine, kind of at the bottom of the free arm. And then you're going to do a couple of stitches in place. Chop off your starting thread and then you can start to draw around, and because you've turned off the feed dogs on your machine you can sew in any direction that you like. So it's like drawing with your sewing machine. It's really fun. So you're just going to go around that outline that you've drawn, and you go around once and then you go around for a second time just to make the thread a bit more visible. And it looks a bit more like a sketch then, because sometimes your lines aren't directly on top of each other, and that's absolutely fine because it makes it look a bit more like a sketch rather than a sewing. And then there we go, so that's your outline completed. Then you're going to draw yourself on a little carrot for a nose and 3 little bobbles for buttons, again using your heat erasable pen. And because you've still got the black on the machine, you're going to come down and start doing your first button. There we go, and then onto the second. And then for some reason I felt I needed to move my camera angle a little bit. There we go, so then we go back onto the third button. Lovely. So then I use a piece of the black glitter felt for a hat, like that. And I use my Prim aqua glue marker to just stick it in place so that it doesn't shift around as we start to sew. And then you can sew along. Now with this, because the felt is that much thicker, because you've obviously got 2 bits of felt now stacked on top of each other, I haven't got quite enough clearance, so I'm just going to go over and just change that a little bit so that it's a bit higher. It just makes things a little bit easier when you're sewing on your kind of second layer of felt, so if you need to do that, that's absolutely fine. And I'm just going to sew around the hat. There we go. Then I'm going to change over to my orange thread and orange bobbin. So you can still use your needle threader as normal when you're doing this free motion. And then we're going to start in on the little carrot for his nose. And that's very simply just following the heat erasable pen line that you've made. Like that. And then you can trim off because that's the only bit of orange that you're going to use. Lovely. Then we're going to switch over to this sparkly red Madeira metallic thread. You might want to reduce the tension on your machine if you're going to be using the metallic thread. And then you're going to pop your, again, a little bit of glue on the back and pop your scarf in place. And then again, you can start sewing around that. There we go, so just do a couple of starting stitches and then lock that in place, and then you just stitch around the scarf. Lovely. So that's the basic snowman done. So you're going to take a piece of ribbon, chop it off, So that's maybe 20 centimetres in total length. And then I cut across the top of the snowman, leaving maybe 3 millimetres. And then you just slide the ribbon in place. And then you stitch all the way around the outside with a white thread, nice and close to your original black stitching line, but just outside. And for some reason I didn't film that bit, so apologies. But you just stitch all the way around the whole outline with a white thread, trying to stay nice and close. And then as you trim round, you trim just outside of that white stitching line. There we go. And then that's my white thread that I stitched it through with. And then again, just trimming around. So your white stitching line is about 1 millimetre outside of the original black line, and you follow all the way around the top of the hat as well, so you go around the whole of the decoration. And then as you trim round, you trim about 2 millimetres outside of that. And there we go, that's your little snowman. Isn't he a cutie? Lovely, Merry Christmas. You can add some free motion embroidery around the tummies too.